Good morning. Namaste to each of you. Thank you for joining me this morning to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. Let's just take a moment to become present and find a nice, comfortable seated position on a cushion or a block, pillow, something that allow your spine to sit nice and tall and straight, back of your neck nice and tall, opening up your chest and opening up your diaphragm and opening up your heart. Gently close your eyes and soften your thoughts. Soften your eyes. Soften your shoulders. Soften your heart. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle, breathing life into you with each inhale and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present, returning to that awareness again and again. You may open your eyes now. For this morning's intention, you may think of a positive word or phrase to have with you on your mat and perhaps carry with you throughout the day. This morning's intention is talking about the brand new year. Happy New Year, everyone. And we'll talk about resolutions that are often made this time of year versus intentions. So there's a AARP article that said resolutions are hard and fast goals that are either achieved or broken. So we've all experienced that broken resolution thing, making it on New Year's Day, and often it doesn't even make it to Valentine's Day in February. But intentions are less about a specific goal and more about a shift in mindset that help achieve that goal. So again, our typical resolution, I've been guilty of this many times. I'm going to lose X pounds, fill in the blank for the X. And then instead of having that hard and fast goal, try instead having the intention of, I'm going to focus on being healthy. It's about seeking the journey, not so much the end point. So intentions, affirmations, mantras, stuff we use a lot in yoga, they all can work together to create a powerful experience. So for example, setting the mindset, the intention that I'm going to focus on being healthy. Think of that as the base of a triangle or base of a mountain. And you're going to refine that, get a little bit more focused with the affirmation of, I am mindful of what I eat and how I move my body every day. So you're refining that, focusing on being healthy. And then the top of the pyramid or top of the mountain is the essence, the mantra. And you can use that as your trigger word. And this one would be healthy. So when you're in a situation, think of your mantra, healthy, and it unfolds all those other layers below it. So try that this year instead of making the hard, fast resolution. I'm going to lose X pounds. Just kind of set your mindset differently going into it. So for today's yoga, we're going to do a practice of Yin Yoga. And Yin Yoga is often called the yoga of the joints because unlike other styles of yoga, the emphasis is not on the muscles, but on the deep connective tissues. So for Yin Yoga, there are 3 principles. First one is to find your edge. I often call that the sweet spot. So it's that spot between effort and relaxation, but find that edge, that sweet spot, and let your intuition be your teacher while you're passionately leaning into that pose. Intuition should be what you bring to the mat every single time anyway, but in yoga, it's particularly important because your edge is going to be different than my edge and your neighbor's edge. So again, find your edge, your sweet spot, that point between effort and relaxation. The second principle is become as still as you can be. And this one's the toughie. It's a mental and physical challenge, but it's the gateway to staying present. And it's in that stillness that your deep connective tissues are challenged. And the last one is just surrendering to time. Allow yourself to just kind of be present. And in that moment, within the Yin Yoga, we typically do a 2-minute pose in this class, but a typical Yin pose is held 3 to 5 minutes. So just kind of surrendering to that, not fighting that time. And to that, today's practice, I'm going to have us go into poses, but I'm also giving us for each pose an affirmation. So you can focus on that. Hopefully that'll make the time go by a little faster. The other thing we're going to do is focus on our breath. And hopefully that'll make the time, be as productive as possible. So 3 principles: find your edge, become as still as you can be, and surrender to time. So the affirmations, I select them specifically to support the intention of having a happy new year. And just when you recite them, just kind of let them settle in with you and just kind of be with them. And they don't need to become your action steps yet. But if one resonates with you, that's great. So let's get started. Put that down. Come to the mat. And Yin Yoga is not unlike restorative in that it's still, and restorative is often still, but with restorative yoga, and that's a style of yoga, there's a lot more props and your body is relaxing into those props. There's a lot of relaxation. Just think of like a big shavasana where your body is in poses, but you're relaxed. With Yin Yoga, your body is still staying active. So I'm going to have a few props. Actually, I just decided this morning, because it's cold out, to put a blanket on top of my mat, give it a little bit more softness and cushion, because we're not going to be standing up, so there won't be any sliding of feet. But I also have my trusty towel here, and I've set it up so that it's will go across the full width of the yoga mat. So I'll be using that a little later on. Alrighty. So the first pose we're going to get into is a reclined mountain pose. So kindly roll down on your mat. You can roll down any way that's comfortable for you. And we're just going to first start off with a session of pranayama, the breathing technique. So if you put your right hand on your tummy and your left hand up on your chest, so you could just witness that breath that's coming in and out of you. And in this pranayama session, you can kind of relax as if it's shavasana, because we're going to be focusing on our breath. So with the inhale, you feel that rise of your stomach under your right hand, having that inhale coming up to your rib cage and then all the way up to your chest, and perhaps you could feel that under your left hand. And then the exhale, we're going to release from the chest, release from the ribs, and release the stomach. Just kind of soak down into the mat here. So again, inhaling, feeling that breath rise under your right hand, following that breath up to your rib cage, and then up to your chest. And then on the exhale, follow that breath as it releases from the chest, releases from the ribs, and releases from the stomach. We're going to do that and add another layer. So when we inhale, we just inhale, filling our tummy up, following that breath up to our chest. And on the exhale, we're going to send a nourishing breath to our joints. And let's start with our toes. Just kind of consciously releasing our breath on the exhale and sending that to the joints in our toes. Then inhale again. And then exhale, sending that nourishing breath to our ankles. Inhale again. Send that nourishing breath to our knees. Inhale again. Send that nourishing breath to our hips. Inhale again. And send it from the top of your neck all the way down your spine. Each vertebra all the way down. Inhale again. And send that exhale out to your fingertips, all those joints in your fingers. Inhale again. Exhale, sending it to your wrists. Inhale. Exhale, sending that breath to your elbows. Inhale again. And to your shoulders. And just one big inhale. And then exhale through your mouth, big sigh. Relaxing everything into the mat. Alrighty, so then we're going to come to mountain pose, and this is where our transition from restorative to yin happens. So you're probably in shavasana right now. Your body's just relaxed and into the mat. So let's go into reclined mountain pose. So we're going to bring our legs so that they're hip width apart. Toes are pointing up to the sky, activating our legs. our knees, our legs are nice and straight, and our knees are have a gentle bend to them. Just kind of acknowledge that bend. We're going to come up to our navel, tuck our navel toward our spine, lowering our lower back toward the mat. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back so that they're nice and snug into the mat. Our neck and spine are nice and straight and long, so you may want to just tuck your chin in ever so slightly so that elongates that nice connection of the spine to the mat. And then we're all in mountain pose. Feel that strength that your body has in this pose. And then we'll start our Yin Yoga. So we're going to bring our right knee toward our chest, wrapping our fingers around our knee, gently guiding our knee toward our chest. Toes are pointing up, feet are flexed and active, our legs are active. And for this affirmation, I enter the new year with an open mind and open heart. I enter the new year with an open mind and open heart. You could think about that affirmation, just kind of repeat it. Or if you want to distill it even further to a mantra would be open. Continue your deep breaths in and then out. Keeping your feet flexed, keeping your legs active. Guiding that knee toward your chest actively. Okay, and you can release that leg, bringing your foot back down to the mat. And then we're going to do that on the other side. So slide your right foot down and guide your left knee toward your chest, flexing both feet. And your feet are active. You're guiding that knee toward your chest so your arms are active. And if you want, I should have mentioned it in the first one, if you want a little bit more effort, you can lift your heel off the mat, and that gives you a little bit more activeness there. And the mantra again is, I enter the new year with an open mind and open heart. I enter the new year with an open mind and open heart. And the mantra is open. You can release that leg back and put the left foot on the mat. And bring the right legs so that right foot's on the mat too. Both knees are pointing up to the sky. And we're going to do reclined pigeon pose. So you can have different variations to this, whatever's your edge or your sweet spot for today. So one option is crossing your right ankle over your left leg, right below the knee, and pointing that right knee toward the right side of the mat. And that's one variation. Another variation would be to lift the left foot up off the mat. You're pointing both toes up to the sky, arms alongside you, palms down to support you. That's another variation. And then the third variation would be to interlace your hands behind your left thigh and guide your left leg toward your chest. That's the third variation. So we'll start. Your choice of variations. And the affirmation is, I release all things from the past year that has caused any negative attachment. I release all things from the past year that has caused any negative attachment. And the mantra is release. And keeping your legs active. So if you have your left foot on the ground, just make sure that your right knee is actively pointing to the right. If both feet are lifted, make sure your toes are flexed up to the sky. And then if you have interlaced your hands behind your thigh, gently guide that to that edge, that sweet spot. You don't want to be in pain for 2 minutes. You just want to maybe have a little bit of tension. Alrighty, and you may release that, bring both feet back down to the mat. And we'll do that on the other side. And you choose which variation of reclined pigeon pose you'd like. And we'll start now. And the affirmation is, I release all things from the past year that has caused any negative attachment. I release all things from the past year that has caused any negative attachment. The mantra is release. And your body being active, remember the principles, the mountain pose where the navel's tucked to the spine, shoulders are rolled back, spine and back of the neck nice and long. And you can release both feet back down to the mat and slide the feet all the way down to the bottom of the mat and back to mountain pose, reclined mountain pose. And we're going to move our right foot over to the edge of the mat. So that's right on the edge between the mat and the floor. And then we're going to slide the left foot over to it. And if you want a little bit more of a stretch, you can cross your left foot over your right foot. So you choose on the feet. And then we're going to lift our arms up overhead. Just lay them down. Shoulders nice and snug in the mat. And we'll take our right hand, wrap it around our left wrist, and guide our left hand to the right. So we're going to come into a banana shape, which is the name of the pose, banana pose. So your shoulders should be resting on the mat. Elbows probably, one's probably on the mat and one's probably a little airborne. Try to get into that gentle crescent shape, finding your edge in that. And the affirmation is, I embrace new changes, new lessons, and new adventures. I embrace new changes, new lessons, and new adventures. And the mantra is embrace. You can release and come back to recline mountain pose. And we'll do that on the other side. So sliding your left foot over so it's on the edge of the mat. And then sliding the right foot toward the left foot and perhaps crossing it over. So that in itself is a nice little curve. And then bringing your arms up overhead, we're going to wrap our left hand around our right wrist and guide it over to the left side of the mat, keeping your shoulder blades pretty much in contact with the mat. Again, find that edge, that sweet spot. And the affirmation is, I embrace new changes, new lessons, and new adventures. I embrace new changes, new lessons, and new adventures. And the mantra is embrace. You can release the pose. You can return back to mountain. Now we're going to roll up onto our hands and knees. So you can roll over to one side, slowly making your way back up, or if you want to tuck your hands under your knees and roll back up to a seated position, and then make your way to hands and knees. We're going to do the thread the needle. So with this, again, if you have a towel, this will support your shoulder when we do the thread the needle. You're just having it out so that it's the width of the yoga mat is nice. Do a tabletop pose. So my fingers are spread apart and wrists are right below the shoulders. I'm gently pushing down so that the weight's equally distributed. And the knees are right below the hips. And then I'm going to lift the left arm up, sweep it under my torso, bringing my left shoulder down to the mat, or in my case, on the towel. And then with your right arm, you can send it up to the sky, or rest it on your hip, or just have it on the mat nearby. So the affirmation would be, I welcome new opportunities to grow emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. I welcome new opportunities to grow emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And the mantra is grow. You can release this pose and come back up to tabletop. Let me shift my stuff over here. And we'll do that same thing. So coming back to tabletop, we're going to lift the right arm up and then sweep it under our torso, bringing our right shoulder down to the mat or to the towel, and lifting the left arm up to the sky or the back of the hip or on the mat. And the affirmation is, I welcome new opportunities to grow emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. I welcome new opportunities to grow emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And the mantra is grow. And may release the hold, come back to tabletop. And we're going to come into a wide-legged child's pose. So bringing your knees out to the edges of your mat, bringing your big toes together, and then lower our hips toward our heels. And then I'm going to use this towel to rest my forehead on. You can have your arms out in front or wherever is comfortable that will support you for these 2 minutes. The affirmation is, I accept that I am responsible for my own happiness. I accept that I am responsible for my own happiness. And the mantra is acceptance. You can come back up to tabletop, bringing your knees underneath your hips, wrists right below your elbows, your shoulders. It's because I was thinking about elbows next. So with my towel here, we're going to go into Sphinx pose. So I'm going to bring my elbows down to the towel and then send my legs back so that my tummy is sitting on the mat. The elbows are right below the shoulders. Hands are straight forward. And we're gonna just arch our back ever so slightly, puffing out our chest, opening up our heart, opening up our chest, and pushing down on the tops of our feet so that our legs are active. And we'll do this for 2 minutes. And the affirmation is, I am grateful for what I have each and every day. I am grateful for what I have each and every day. There's a variation if this gets a little bit too much for your lower back. You can send your elbows and hands forward a little bit to release that arch in your lower back. But again, finding your edge, that sweet spot between effort and relaxation. We're going to release this pose. And we're going to come into sage pose. We're going to come back up to tabletop and then swing our legs out to the side. Remove the blanket for a minute. Swinging our legs to the side and come into a seated position, into staff pose. So staff pose is a very active pose. Our toes are pointing up to the sky. Sit bones are nice and snug in the mat. You may actually, if you want, you can just rest your hip bones on the edge of that towel. Just prop up a little bit. You can push down in your fists, lifting your hips up and coming down. Really feel that connection, nice and straight and strong with staff pose. And we're going to go into sage pose, which we're going to bring the left foot alongside the outer edge or outer side of your right knee. I'll grab my cloth before I get to the point I can't reach it. So our left foot is alongside our right knee. We're going to wrap our left hand or arm around our left knee, bringing our right fingertips behind our hips and opening up our chest to the long side of the mat. We'll do this for 2 minutes. I can get my clock to work. There we go. And the affirmation is, I am courageous even when things are unknown to me. I am courageous even when things are unknown to me. And the mantra is courage. Again, you are in an active position. Your toes are flexed up to the sky. Your twist is trying to bring your chest open to the long side of the mat. Right hand's right behind your hip, helping with your twist. That's a little bit too strenuous. You can bring your foot to the inside of the knee, wrapping your leg. We'll try either way. Remember your breath, nice, deep, long breaths. Sending any nourishing exhales to maybe joints or maybe a little bit of tension. And if you're feeling pain, release, just slightly finding that sweet spot. Alright, so we'll do that on the other side now. Bringing, I should bring them both over here. So back to staff pose, bringing our right foot along the outer edge of your left knee or on the inside of your left knee. Wrapping your right arm around your knee and then sending your left fingertips behind your hips, opening up your chest as much as possible to the long side of the mat. And the affirmation is, I am courageous even when things are unknown to me. I am courageous even when things are unknown to me. And the mantra is courage. You can release that pose. Now we're going to go into a reclined cobbler's pose, or in Yin Yoga, it's referred to as reclined butterfly. So we're going to, in a sitting position, we're going to take our feet, bringing the soles of our feet together. And if you have a blanket, I highly encourage placing the blanket, or towel rather, towel on top of your feet, and then reaching under your legs and grabbing the two ends and bringing them, wrapping them around your heels so that your feet are kind of cocooned in this nice little thing. And if you don't have that, and if you have blocks to support your knees, that's another way of doing this. So we're going to then slowly bring ourselves down to the mat and have our legs open and recline butterfly. And the affirmation is, I give kindness as easily as I receive kindness. I give kindness as easily as I receive kindness. And the mantra is kindness. You can release this pose. Guide your knees back together with your hands. And we're going to remove the towel. And we're going to bring our knees to our chest, giving ourselves a nice hug. And then we're going to go into recline twist. So stretching your arms out at shoulder height. Hands go in each direction. And then we're going to exhale, bringing the knees to the right, keeping your gaze straight up. And then once your knees have landed, you send your gaze over to your left fingertips. We'll start the 2 minutes. And the affirmation is, today I choose to be at peace with myself and the world. Today I choose to be at peace with myself and the world. And the mantra is peace. Gently turn your head back to center. And then inhaling, bringing your knees back to center. Then on the exhale, lowering your knees to the left side. And once they've landed, gently turning your head to look at your right fingertips. And the affirmation is, today I choose to be at peace with myself and the world. Today I choose to be at peace with myself and the world. And the mantra is peace. Bring your head back to center. Then inhaling, lifting your legs back to center. And then sending your legs down to the end of the mat, preparing for Shavasana. So you can relax, sending your feet out to the edges. Just be inhaling and then exhaling, relaxing fully into the mat. Your arms are at an angle, palms facing up. Take a few deep inhales and exhales. I have one last affirmation for you. Today I choose to love myself and all others. Today I choose to love myself and all others. And the mantra is love. And in closing, I have a quote from Waldo Emerson. Write it on your heart that every day is the best day in the year. He is rich who owns the day, and no one owns the day who allows it to be invaded with fret and anxiety. Finish every day and be done with it. You have done what you could. Some blunders and absurdities no doubt crept in. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow is a new day. Begin it well and serenely, with too high a spirit to be encumbered with your own old nonsense. This new day is too dear, with its hopes and invitations, to waste a moment on the yesterdays. Happy New Year.